One bad step is enough. Your foot lands between two rocks. Your body turns, but your leg does not. There is a crack. You fall, and in a single second, the world becomes much more dangerous. You cannot run from a predator. You cannot follow the group. You may not even be able to reach water. Today, a broken bone means an ambulance, an X-ray, and weeks of protected recovery. But for most of human history, there were no hospitals, no metal screws, and no painkillers. So why do prehistoric skeletons contain bones that broke and then healed? The answer is not simply that our ancestors were tougher. A bone can repair itself, but surviving long enough for that to happen may require something the skeleton cannot do alone. Other people. There was no single prehistoric world. Human ancestors lived in different climates, used different tools, and faced different dangers across millions of years. But a serious injury created the same immediate problem almost everywhere. Movement was survival. Food was rarely delivered to one permanent address. Water had to be reached. Fuel had to be carried. A camp could become unsafe. A group might need to follow migrating animals or leave before the weather changed. An injured hunter was not merely missing a hunt. The entire group had to decide whether to wait, to carry more, or to leave someone behind. The fracture itself was only the beginning. A broken bone could tear muscle and blood vessels. An open wound invited infection. Swelling made the limb painful and difficult to move. A badly aligned break could heal crooked, shortening a leg or permanently changing the way a person walked. And even a clean fracture needed time. Bone is not dead stone. After a fracture, the body first produces a clot around the break. Soft tissue begins to bridge the gap. New bone then forms a hard callus, creating a thick ridge around the damaged area. Over months and years, that repair can be reshaped. This process leaves evidence. When archaeologists find rounded new bone around an old break, they know the person survived the original injury. The larger and more remodeled the repair, the longer that survival probably continued. But a healed fracture does not automatically prove that someone was nursed beside a fire. Animals sometimes survive broken bones. A person with a minor fracture might still gather food, make tools, or move slowly, and the skeleton cannot record a hand passing over a cup of water. To understand care, researchers look for a harder case. Injuries severe enough that independent survival becomes difficult, combined with healing that proves the individual lived on. One of the clearest examples comes from Shanidar Cave in northern Iraq. More than 35,000 years ago, a Neanderthal man, now known as Shanidar, lived with a remarkable collection of injuries. A crushing blow had damaged the left side of his face and may have impaired his vision. His right arm was severely withered. Damage to the right side of his body may also have affected his leg. A bone in his right foot had broken and healed, adding another reason for him to limp. These were not injuries found on a body that died the same day. The bone had changed around them. They had healed. Shanidar I continued living until an estimated age of roughly 35 to 45, old for the population represented in the cave. We do not know who helped him. We do not know whether anyone understood how to set a fracture. We cannot see a splint, a bandage, or a daily routine, but his body presents a practical problem. How does a person with impaired movement, limited use of one arm, and possible loss of vision obtain enough food, water, and protection for years? The most reasonable answer is not a prehistoric hospital. It is a group that adjusted. Someone could bring water. Someone could share meat or softer plant food. Others could keep danger away while he rested. The group could reduce his need to travel alone, and care did not make him useless. A person who could not hunt at full strength could still shape tools, prepare food, watch children, maintain a fire, remember landscapes, and teach younger members of the group. Survival was never only a contest of strong legs. The possibility of assistance reaches much further back. At Dmanisi in Georgia, archaeologists discovered the skull and jaw of an early human who lived around 1.8 million years ago. This individual had lost all but one tooth several years before death. That is not a broken leg, but it creates the same question. How did someone who could barely chew survive in a landscape filled with tough plants and uncooked or simply prepared foods? Perhaps naturally, soft food was available. Perhaps the person crushed food with tools. Perhaps others shared softer pieces. The fossil cannot choose between those possibilities. What it proves is survival. Long before modern humans existed, a member of our wider human family continued living after losing a basic physical ability. We should not imagine a cave surgeon performing a modern operation with a stone knife. The most valuable treatment may have been much simpler. Keep the injured person still. Support the limb in a position that hurts less. Bring water. Share food. Clean visible dirt from a wound. Protect the person from cold, insects and predators. Allow the body enough time to do what bone naturally does. People may have used branches, hide or plant fibers to support an injury, but direct evidence for a particular prehistoric splint is rare. The honest answer is that we do not know exactly how they immobilized fractures. What we do know is that time itself had a cost. Every day spent recovering required calories without full mobility. Every move by the group became more complicated. Someone else carried more. Someone else watched longer. Care converted one person's injury into a shared problem. It is tempting to call this compassion, and compassion may have been part of it. But cooperation also made practical sense. Anyone could be injured next. A group that kept experienced members alive did not lose everything they knew. Older and disabled individuals could remember water sources, animal behaviour, dangerous routes and methods for making tools. Care protected knowledge as well as bodies. It also created trust. Hunting large animals, defending a camp and raising slow-growing children all required individuals to depend on one another. Helping an injured person was not separate from survival. It was another form of survival technology. The most important adaptation was not a stronger bone. It was a group willing to absorb the cost while that bone repaired itself. There is a famous claim that the first sign of civilization is a healed thigh bone. It is a powerful image, but it is too simple. One healed fracture does not prove kindness. Some fractures are survivable alone. Not every injured person was saved, and the fossil remains represent only a tiny fraction of everyone who lived and died. The stronger evidence appears when severe injuries, long-term impairment and continued survival occur together. Shanidar 1 does not give us a sentimental story with named caregivers. He gives us damaged bones that had years to heal. That is quieter evidence, but it is real. Before casts, surgery and antibiotics, a broken bone could still kill through blood loss, infection, immobility or simple abandonment. Yet some people survived. Not because prehistoric life was gentle, not because their bodies healed instantly. They survived because the human body could rebuild, and because sometimes other humans created the time and safety it needed. Comfort came much later. Care came first. If you want more stories about how humans survived before life became comfortable, like this video and subscribe to Before Comfort.